I see. We're supposed to wait for the wow, 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 and then I'm allowed to be on the air. And all I can say is, wow, this is fun. Does Richard get paid to do this? This is a blast.
You know, he's never told me personally whether he gets paid or not. I just show up for work day in, day out, and he's just like, has a good time making fun of me a lot of times.
Yeah. So. Oh, he can tear you up, can he? Well, Richard obviously is not here. I'm Donna Francavilla. I'm filling in for Richard, who apparently is trying to make some money at a, can I say this on the air, a casino in Biloxi?
Well, he said it, so I'm assuming.
Okay, all right. So, hopefully he'll win lots of money and bring some back for us. What do you think? What are the chances?
I know he's not going to share it with me.
No, he's not sharing it. Well, apparently he's got some bad company with him. He's off gambling with Mark Spud Friedman. Is that right?
You're right. Now, they said that could be a rather potent combo because Spud doesn't drink, but he will gamble. And Richard, who will drink and gamble, will be there egging Spud on, and it won't end well.
And no doubt singing karaoke. I mean, I cannot sing, as I've told you, and this is why I told my friends, please listen and call in because you do not want to hear me sing. Let me tell you how bad my singing is. It is so bad that when my son, I sing in church, my son as a child would look up to me and say, Mom, I go, what? He says, you better keep that down. People can hear you. So, that's bad when the kid who loves you and looks up to you says that because he's looking out for your best interests. Oh, that's bad. Anyway, I'm Donna Francavilla. I am filling in for Richard Dixon, who is having a great time and trying to make a little money. And you're listening to WAPI 1070 AM. If you'd like to call in, you can reach me at 944-1070 or 866-927-1070. And you can listen to us online. You can also listen to us on the AM dial. I am having quite a fun time. I thankfully know some really interesting people. And by the way, I'm a CBS correspondent, freelance, CBS National, been covering stories, been covering Alabama for 20 years, and I have my own media consulting company. I do presentation training, media training, and some PR work, and it's called Frankly Speaking Communications. You can check out my website, donnafrancavilla.com, and franklyspeakingcommunications.com, and also I tweet on occasion. But I have the privilege of knowing some really interesting people. And if you were with us last hour, you heard from Mark Jackson, who is a fascinating man on the international scene and one of the movers and shakers in this town, plus a hell of a nice guy. Some of the other really interesting people that I thought you might want to hear from include our Birmingham Mayor, William Bell, who will be joining us a little bit later in the 4 o'clock hour, Charles Barkley at the 3 o'clock hour. And Paul DeMarco, former representative and a lawyer here in town who ran for a congressional seat, will be joining us at 4:30. So quite a lineup. But one of the most interesting people to me in my life, who's not from Birmingham, that I want to introduce you to, is Heidi Harris. Now, when I typed in Heidi's name, I've never done that before because, she's a friend, she's a talk show host, she's a conservative talk show host, really interesting person. I typed in her name, and she actually has a Wikipedia description. Heidi, you there? Can you hear us?
I am. God only knows what it says. I once had someone try to put something bad on Wikipedia. What does it say now? I have no idea.
Oh, my God. I can't. You are so important that you have your own page. I am totally outclassed here, Heidi. Okay, so Heidi is an American talk radio host and author. Her show, now wait, I got to put my reading glasses on so I can read the rest of this. Shh, don't tell anybody. Her show was a 2-time winner of the Electronic Media Award, EMA, for Best Local Radio Talk Show Host. Heidi, feel free to give me tips and advice at any time. Her show is heard weeknights from 6 to 7 p.m. on AM 790 KBET in Las Vegas. Her Heidi Harris Files commentaries air weekdays at 7:30 a.m., 12:30, 4:30 p.m., and also on AM 790. You're also you're the author of a book. What's the book called?
Cocktail Waitress Wisdom.
Now, I don't know any talk show hosts who have written a book about their days as a cocktail waitress. So do share.
Well, I figured the world was full of 200 pages on why one side of the aisle sucks and one doesn't, so I didn't want to write a book like that. I'd write something people could actually use, and I worked in the casino business for a lot of years before I got into being a talk show host, and there were some lessons I learned in life that applied, I thought, it certainly carried me through a lot of jobs after that. And I started thinking about it and compiling them. I thought, darn it, I'm going to write a little book about this. So I did, and it's on. I've now got the audio version up on audible.com. So you go to Cocktail Waitress Wisdom. It's about 20 minutes. It's not real long, but it's just fun little tips like how to deal with people who have what I call the nickel player mentality, and that's the cheap people in anything. But I don't care if it's real estate, buying cars, buying clothes. The cheapest people are always the most demanding. And the people in casinos who play nickels will drive you crazier than the people who play dollars. It's just the way it goes.
Well, we were just talking about how Richard Dixon, the talk show host of this station, is down in Biloxi. We don't have casinos in Las Vegas like you do. You have one on every corner. So I imagine you've seen this scenario over and over again, haven't you? That these people come in, like you said, with their nickels, probably not dressed very well, but anxious to hit that jackpot. And how many of them do that?
Yeah, virtually nobody.
Yeah, virtually nobody. Although,
you know what's funny? And I'm sure you've done this occasionally, but if you fly into Vegas on a Friday night, right?
Right.
There's a party playing full of people. They're drinking. They're excited because they're all going to win a lot of money. And then when you fly out on Monday morning, you can hear your socks drop. It's so quiet.
Well, what a fascinating town to be a talk show host in. What kind of town is it? Is it a Democratic town? Is it a Republican town?
Well, it's an interesting state. It's very purple. The northern part of Nevada, where you see Reno and Carson City, all that kind of part of that, or state capital, that's much more conservative. Down here, it's much more liberal. It's an interesting state. Of course, we've had Harry Reid forever. But there are a lot of conservatives here, and it's an interesting dichotomy because even people like Harry Reid, who are more liberal on some things, are okay with guns in a lot of ways, unlike most Democrats, just because it's a Wild West kind of thing. So it's a little bit different. We don't like people telling us what to do.
Wild West, and there's an oasis somewhere over there, and boy, is it hot and dry. Oh, my God.
Well, yeah. I don't even know what it is today. I think, let's see, let me look outside. In the shade, my thermometer says 100 degrees. That's in the shade.
Well, actually Birmingham's 95, so, we're not doing a whole lot better. But at least the humidity's a little bit lower, though compared to Las Vegas, it's probably in the stratosphere. Heidi, what is it like? What's the, one of the reasons why I wanted to talk to you is because I know you follow politics on a national level. And I think that the whole nation is fascinated by Donald Trump. And I think here in Alabama, we just find him so interesting. Of course, this is a largely red state. So I'm wondering, how's he playing over there?
It's fascinating because when you think of the way society is in America now, we spend more time worrying about reality TV stars than we do who our senator is. I mean,
that's a really good point.
Yeah, stop your average teenager or 25-year-old in the street with a smartphone, or they're supposed to be smart, they should be called dumb phones, and ask them, they can name every reality TV star, ask them who their congressman is, ask them who their senator is. They have no clue about any of that. So why not have a reality TV star as president? I'm not saying I'm supporting Donald Trump. I'm more of a Rick Santorum, Ted Cruz kind of conservative person. But in this country, the way things are now, it's all about how much you can get your face on TV, more so than it is your qualifications. I know people who voted for Bill Clinton, and they told me this, because he went on MTV and played saxophone.
Oh, yeah, because
that's how this country is.
They wanted a cool guy in that seat, and they felt like Bush was too boring to cover. I remember reporters telling me that while I was covering that campaign. And Bush Sr. was even more serious and even more boring than Bush Jr., because at least Bush Jr. would say something that everybody would laugh at.
Right. Right. I can't wait till obviously this is the big debate coming up on Thursday night, and Donald Trump's way ahead of everybody else in the polls. I'm not sure if he still will be after the debate because the right has some pretty solid people.
Really? You think the debate might bury him? That's fascinating.
I think maybe so, because if he comes across as a circus clown, and I'm not saying he is. I've interviewed him. He was very nice. I'm not saying that he is, but if he comes across that way as somebody who's not very serious, I mean, you can only be bombastic. It only carries you so far. I mean, Chris Christie, okay? He has all the charm of an East Coast dock worker. It only carries you so far. You know? And so if Donald Trump gets up there on the stage and he's rude and very dismissive of other people who have far more experience in government than he does, it's different having experience with government and dealing with regulations versus actually having to legislate those things. If he does that, I think he could turn a lot of people off. It's a possibility.
You know, and that's a fascinating observation. And what was interesting to me is when I listened to Donald Trump speak, he talked about his dealings in government as if everything was a deal. Well, you just go in there and you make the best deal possible. You just negotiate what you're going to negotiate. Is that really what we need in this country, you think? Somebody who can get things done?
Well, you have to get things done, but what the problem is, you have to go through Congress to do it. And you can't do everything by executive order. And even if you have the best ideas, you know this, I know this, all of us with a brain who've been around politics and just real life understand that you're going to have to give sometimes if you ever want to get anything. Nobody's going to be able to go in there and get all they want all the time. This, it's kind of dictatorship. That's not the way it runs. So Donald Trump is used to being the king. He's used to being the final word on everything, and you really aren't to a large extent as a president of the United States. So I think he'd be in for a big shock.
You know, what I'm wondering is if the White House someday will have the Trump name on it. You know, instead of the Trump Towers, it'll be the Trump White House with large gold lettering. Anyway, we've got to take a break. When we come back, I'm going to share with you my Donald Trump story. You're listening to WAPI. That's 1070 AM. We'll be right back with Heidi Harris.
This is Richard Dixon.